If your company's deployment strategy for Microsoft 365 Copilot is just to give everybody a license and hope for the best, you're going to have another thing coming. Doing that would be like giving everybody a gym membership and asking them to get ripped. You're going to have some people who are just going to dive right in and understand what to do and be super effective. But you're going to have another whole cohort of people that are going to require some attention and some help. They're not going to know how to use the machines. They're not going to know where to get started. And they're going to need a little bit of assistance to get them on the right path. And Copilot is no different. In this video, I'll show you our 5-step framework that we actually use with our clients to help them get the most out of Microsoft 365 Copilot. Hi, if we haven't met, I'm Matt Gibson, and for over 15 years, I've been helping mid-market to Fortune 100 companies get the most out of the Microsoft investment, and lately that's been Copilot. Copilot has been the biggest shift in Microsoft's strategy ever since the deployment of Teams. And if you remember, deploying Teams had a lot of similarities. Just giving everybody Teams meant that they were probably going to use it for chat and they might upload a file occasionally, but that's really only hitting the tip of the iceberg. So if you just give everybody a Microsoft 365 Copilot license, you're going to find yourself in the same boat. After helping organizations roll out Copilot successfully, we've boiled down our strategy to 5 key steps and we call it the Guide Framework. It's designed to make sure that Copilot is a smashing hit in your organization while keeping things like user adoption, security, scalability, compliance, and operations top of mind. So without further ado, let's dive in. The first step in the Guide Framework is G, and that stands for goals. Not having a goal is like taking a field of dreams approach with your Microsoft 365 Copilot deployment. Just build it and they will come. And we know in IT that doesn't work. However, we typically are struck with a little bit of challenge because in IT, we're not necessarily in the business of getting people to change their behaviors. We're nerdy system admins. We like clicking the dials and moving the buttons. So having a clear goal as to what we're trying to accomplish with this technology deployment will really help guide where we're going to need help and where we may be looking for either outside help or help from other internal teams who are good at that sort of thing. So when you're picking a goal, use any goal framework you want. It doesn't matter. As long as the goal has something measurable that you can say, yes, we achieved it, or no, we didn't. So you can use the SMART framework, you can use OKRs, you can use management by objectives, any one of them will do. But what we want to do is find a department within our organization and pick something measurable that we want to determine if Copilot made a difference on. So for example, in the marketing department, it may be that Copilot helped generate more leads, or that it helped qualify leads better, or that it helped us with our outreach programs, or that it helped us with our content strategy. Any one of those things are fine, and this would be something where our goal is indirectly tied to driving additional revenue. But we want to get a little bit more specific than that, right? So we talked about the potential of bringing in more leads. Now, Copilot itself may not be the thing bringing in leads, but it may enable your marketing department to create content faster, which will help drive additional leads. So take a 3 to 6 month period and determine what that metric looked like over that time. Go ahead and deploy Copilot according to the framework we talk about this video, and then measure the impact that it had. And that'll tell you whether or not it was worth it. All right, step 2 in the framework is U, and this is for understanding and auditing your data. Now, there are a number of enhancements that Microsoft is making to help you clean up your data, and I think that that's only going to get better. But that's not going to be your whole story. So things like the new knowledge agent will help you tag your content with metadata. And there are other features within the Microsoft 365 platform that can help you retire old content. But you need to make sure that these types of things are in place so that your data is as scrubbed and squeaky clean as it possibly can be, because this very much is a garbage in, garbage out kind of program. The LLM can do fantastic things and AI is insanely smart, but without good context, it's not going to give you the answer you're looking for. So make sure that you take the time to take a look across your data estate, whether that's the information inside of Microsoft 365, or if you're pulling in data from other services, make sure that it's organized in a way that the Copilot can make sense of. And most importantly, make sure that it's tagged appropriately for security, and make sure that you are getting rid of stale content in your environment that's no longer applicable. Your legal department will love that too. All right, step 3 in the framework is I, and this is for implementing governance. This is critically important for most organizations because we don't want Sally staff just prompting away at Copilot and getting access to all sorts of information she didn't even know she had. This is where we want to use things like sensitivity labels in Microsoft Purview, or retention policies, or data loss prevention policies. We want to make sure that our permissions in SharePoint are tight and that we're not giving too broad of access. We want to make sure that things like guest sharing are configured properly so that guests aren't getting additional access to Copilot information. We really want to hone in everything to make sure that all of our security is in place. So the main suites that you're going to be looking at here is SharePoint Advanced Management Features, or now SharePoint Premier, Microsoft Purview, and some of the DSPM features in Copilot, which is the Data Security Posture Management. And these are all the things that you're going to want to think about to make sure that your technical controls are ready to go for people to use Copilot in your organization. All right, the next step is D, for drive adoption. Now, this is the hardest part for most IT teams, and that's because we're nerdy. We understand how to set security policies and compliance policies and lockdown settings and configure servers and network bandwidth and all that sort of stuff. But we're not necessarily the team you would turn to modify end user behavior. So I'll give you a couple tips, and then if that doesn't quite work and you're still unsure about it, then I'll give you a couple different groups that you can work with for some help. So the first thing is that you want to try to establish a champion program. Now, earlier we talked about our gym analogy where there are some people who just have already been in the gym and already understand how to do it. And there's going to be that same cohort of people within your organization that are excited about AI. They're using it outside of work, or maybe inside of work, and they are excited to use that tool in their daily work life. You need to find those people and get them involved. They will help you spread the word. They'll help you tweak your technical jargon into things that the business is going to understand. And they're kind of going to act like an influencer inside of your organization to really help people get excited about the tool. They'll share things like what they used to do and now what they do and how that helped them in their work life. And those things are great. That's kind of organic and it feels natural. So those change champions are going to be critical. So find them and leverage them and have them help you build out your adoption strategy. The second is that you can do things like internal campaigns. So this is a great time to use Copilot to help you come up with some campaign type content that you can use within your organization. Depending on your organization, maybe you're in manufacturing or maybe you're in your financial services, come up with some type of character, whether it's a dog or a superhero or something like that, that you can use as kind of that logo or that caricature that can be the face of Copilot, kind of like a Clippy, but and I know it sounds cheesy, but it does help and it does work. And I've seen organizations that did massively successful security campaigns by deploying Captain Awareness. So you can do the same thing by creating some type of caricature or some type of avatar that you can use to help deploy and have them be the voice of Copilot within your organization. Other things that can certainly help: lunch and learns, doing demos, and any type of success stories that you can deploy are going to be certainly helpful. Now, if you don't have time for all of this, and if this sounds too daunting, leverage some help from either Copilot itself, your marketing department, or companies like Comet to help give you that additional bandwidth to help do this, because this is going to require a lot of time and effort. Depending on your size organization, this is not something you're going to be able to just do as a side business within your IT department. You are going to need some dedicated effort to really try to get the most here. So make sure that you get yourself some help. And the last state is E, for evaluate and evolve. So by now, we've gotten Copilot technically ready. We've got end users adopting it. We have our goals and we're measuring what used to be the case and what's the case now that we have Copilot. Hopefully we're seeing some success. But even if we're not, this is that time to step back and say, okay, how did we do? Did we nail our adoption campaign, or was there still some uncertainty and people didn't quite use the tool correctly or the way in which we intended based on our goals? Or were our goals unclear? Or did we not have good ways of measuring it? All of that is okay. It's better to get started and to try to learn from these behaviors than to stop and try to get it all perfect. So this is really, you want to take that step, evaluate, evolve, take the next stab at maybe the next department or the next goal, and keep iterating on getting better. Additionally, this is the stage where you're going to want to have a good process for operations and continued improvement from a measurement standpoint and from a scalability standpoint in your IT department. So, did we have enough data to understand if these prompts met our compliance policies? Were we able to make sure that we felt comfortable from a security standpoint that nothing was being pulled out of Copilot or given to users that they shouldn't have seen? Were we able to get good visibility into our audit logs and make sure that we understand how to do that? Was it pulled into our SIEM? Whatever the case may be, right? Anything from an operations standpoint, this is again where we want to evaluate how did we do and then make those improvements going forward. All right, so there you have it. The guide framework, goals, understand your data, implement governance, drive that user adoption, evaluate and evolve. And we've used this a number of times across a number of clients, and we've had a lot of success with it. So I hope this helps. Thank you for watching.